Hi, I thought I'd show you a few things about Home Designer Essentials. First of all, we'll draw some walls. And you can see that there's dimensions that are automatically kind of how they come up when I create the wall. And also, that was an auto dimensions. And you click on the wall, and there's no dimension there because there's already a dimension here. Okay? Let's see. Let's delete these dimensions. I'll show you what I was talking about. I'll just remove the dimensions by deleting them. We'll go over to Dimension Tools, which I don't see right now. There it is. Oh, I see. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I said that there's a tool in all titles that does what you want to do, and I see now that in Essentials, that's not true. They're just end-to-end or manual. Well, let's use the end-to-end. You can left-click where you want to draw a dimension, and then release the mouse where you want to go. Now you can see that it didn't exactly dimension to the interior sides, but you can click on the dimension, and then see how the cursor changes when I get over a dimension point. Then left-click and drag. I can put that dimension point wherever I want. Okay, you see that? Just click on it. You want to create an additional dimension point. You get that little this little tool here. Click on the dimension and then drag a new dimension point, and it'll add it to the string. He said with great certainty. It didn't work. Okay, there it is. I created it. You can't see the readout. Let me get rid of that one by dragging it away. Tell you what, we'll put out something else there to dimension 2. We'll put an arrow, and then I'm going to move this dimension point to the arrow. There has to be something dimensionable there to dimension 2. But you can, once you've got a dimension created, you can move that dimension point wherever you need it, to the one side or the other of the framing, like that, to the center. Now you usually have to zoom in pretty close to get to the center. You see, I just did that, and I'm zoomed in pretty close. Or we could get to the outside surface or the inside surface. So you just have to be aware of where the dimension is dimensioning to, and if you want it to dimension somewhere else, you just left click and drag it to where you want it to dimension to. Okay? So I misspoke earlier in the post when I said that there was a wall, an interior dimension. I thought there was, and there isn't. Sorry about that. You've got in Essentials, you've got end-to-end, you've got and manual dimension. Manual dimension and end-to-end is pretty much the same thing. The manual dimension for anything that's dimensionable, like I drew a CAD line here, so it dimensioned to that and the outside of the wall and the outside of the wall. But just like any dimension, it can be manually altered to, and like this dimension here, I'm going to get rid of it by dragging it off. We'll move this to the inside. So you get the idea? It's pretty simple and straightforward, but you have to kind of know that the functionality is there sometimes to get the use of it. We'll click on this dimension now. I'm going to move that back out to the interior side of the framing. So hopefully this will help you out. I'm sorry I misspoke about the dimension tools. I thought that was true, but obviously there's auto exterior dimensions, and the tape measure is just for a temporary measure, and it'll show it visually where you're measuring to, and it's just temporary. And then there's a tool, these tools here that I displayed. One's the end-to-end, and one's manual, and they're both about the same thing. Manual will dimension any dimensionable point, and end to end is going to dimension between where you left click and where you release the mouse. But you need to practice with that and kind of get your own feel for it, and those are the dimension tools and essentials. Thank you.